The creator economy is exploding, and right now there's never been a better time to hop on board. If you're a barber looking to grow on social media, create professional content and monetize your audience so that you can scale outside the shop, you know how hard this can be. You're posting content, chasing the algorithms, trying to bring in new clients, but without the right systems in place, you're just spinning your wheels. But the truth is, if you don't have the system in place to leverage your content, you're just hoping your next client appears out of thin air. You're relying more on luck than an actual strategy. That's exactly why I built this system, so that your content works for you even when you're not cutting. Instead of being stuck on that treadmill of posting every day with no real results, this is about working smarter, not harder, and finally building something bigger than the chair. In this video, I'm going to break down the exact systems I use to help barbers create scroll-stopping videos, attract the right audience, and convert that audience into high-ticket clients. All without spamming cold DMs, hoping to go viral, or cutting hair 10 to 15 hours a day to make ends meet. If you've been grinding in the shop wondering how you can break the cycle so you can turn your skills, your brand, and your content into a business that gives you time, location, and creative freedom, then this video is for you. So lock your phone, take notes, because this system took me 8 months to build and refine it, and I'm giving it to you right now completely for free. So let's jump in. So we're rolling. Let's jump straight into it. So what actually is the system we're talking about? The system we're talking about today is the Barbers personal brand ecosystem, and I like to call it the TBH way ecosystem. And this is basically an ecosystem which gets your content working for itself so you can start turning those clients into high ticket paying clients, so that allows you to scale outside of the barber chair. So what is the main purpose of this system? This is going to show you how I became a full-time creator by building a personal brand ecosystem. And if you haven't seen me or any of my videos, I'm Tim Brace and I'm the founder of the TBH way. In the last 5 years, I've dedicated myself to transforming my social media presence from a mere showcase of work to a client attracting powerhouse. By strategically curating content that resonates with my audience, I've successfully created a system that converts viewers into paying customers for my online coaching business. This freedom allows me to pursue my passion for travel, all while running a business on my own terms. And I've cracked it. I call it the Barber's personal brand ecosystem. For me, it's about creating a brand that actually makes money by giving me creativity and systems, which equals freedom. So I wanted to be able to allow myself to be able to create content and actually get paid for it, because that is something that I'm really passionate about. I absolutely love cutting hair, but I've been doing it a decade. I wanted a new challenge, so I set myself the task of building a system so that I can create content that allows me to generate money from anywhere around the world, because everyone chases that dream of having that time and location freedom. In this doc, I'm going to show you how you can generate content that gets you clients in your chair, pre-sales clients with that content, and show you how you can actually monetize. But first, let me show you how it works, because ultimately you don't want to do it if it doesn't work. So let's have a bit of proof in the pudding. This is exactly what I did to land my first high ticket client within the first week of my launch, and allowed me to generate 75,000 followers on my personal brand. So as you can see, on the 21st of March, which was just a couple of weeks ago, and I launched my product on the 18th of March, I landed my first client of £2,400 in a single day. And as you can see here, we've generated 77,000 followers, and we're continuously generating viral videos, like you can see here, 3 million, 2.3 million, and 4.7 million. However, I know that cash isn't be all and end all. Of course, everyone wants money, but for me, it's more about having that location freedom, because I love to travel. So back in January, I flew to Thailand for a 3-week break, took my mum to Italy for a 5-day ski trip, and for the past 3 years, I've been going on holiday once a month without my business slowing down. I wanted to say that because you can do this. I know that you see all online and these gurus saying, do this, do that, but you actually can do it if you apply yourself properly. I love to travel. I want to be able to earn money while I'm not actually in the country. This is the whole purpose of this system. I want you to do the same. I want you to be able to break the mold of working 10 to 15 hours a day behind the chair and actually learn how to scale outside of the barbershop. So here's some pictures of me in Thailand at the start of the year, going away skiing, and then I went away with my girlfriend last year to Greece, and we're currently going to Dubai next month. Just to make sure that we're on the same page and that you're not watching this video and wasting time, this video is not for the barbers who think that going viral will get them clients. This video is also not for the barbers who love posting random shits and gig content with no clear systems to convert, as well as barbers who want to carry on figuring it out themselves. And finally, barbers who think getting views equals making more money. If that sounds like you, then make sure to get yourself out of this video, because there's just no point in you watching any further. However, if you are someone that wants to be a barber, a creator, or an entrepreneur who wants their content to work for them, as well as who doesn't want to be stuck behind the chair 10 to 15 hours a day, who also wants to be able to create content that attracts high ticket clients without needing millions of views, as well as the barbers who want to build a brand that commands respect, not just attention. And finally, barbers who want a business that gives them freedom to travel, create, and live on their own terms. If that sounds more aligned with your goals, then this video is for you. So with that being said, let's lock the fuck in. Here's how we're going to build that barbering personal brand that shows you how to make content work for you, bring in pre-sold prospects consistently, and gives you that freedom to create on your own terms. Before we build these systems, let me just give you a little bit of a backstory of who I am. I'm Tim Brace, the founder of TBH Way. My mission is to help barbers learn how to showcase their work on social media properly without having to pay a videographer thousands, while empowering yourself with strategic systems to unlock your freedom and scale your business without hesitation. Little bit of background and experience. For me, I landed my first ticket client within a week of launch. I grew my personal brand to 75,000 followers, and I've generated 100 million views and clients traveling halfway across the country to sit in my chair. And I've worked with one of the top mentors in the UK to get these systems dialed in. However, if you're looking for clout, I'm not your guy, unfortunately. If you want proven systems that turn content into cash flow, this is how you do it. With that being said, a little bit more about me, let's dive into the Barbers personal brand ecosystem. What I need to differentiate is the barbers who post every day hoping something will happen, and the barbers who see it as a business who have systems that work for them. So the barbers who create content just for posting it and hoping that something happens, and then we want to differentiate you from the barbers who actually see it as a business and want to have systems in place to make their content work for themselves. As well as we want to be able to successfully engineer a system that convert views into clients in your chair and an audience who want to buy from you. How are we actually going to make this system, and how does it work? I split it up into 4 phases. Number 1, the visual edge. This is all about understanding how to actually film the content, and this is a real foundational pillar of content creation. And next we go on to content flow, and this is where we talk about how to actually market ourselves, whether we're creating traffic driving content or authority content that drives traffic to our booked calls. And then we need to know how to actually create our digital product so we can sell it online and start to monetize our brand. Finally, we need to move on to the scaling systems, put systems in place to automate the whole process and start to scale without you having to work 10 hours a day on the business. 4 systems. Step 1, the visual edge. Your content is the backbone of everything. If you learn a system on how to create content, you can take your business in any direction you desire. Number 2, content flow. We need to build a content strategy so that you have direction. No purpose, no posting. I have that in bold because that is what I live by with all of my students. I make sure that there's a purpose behind every single post. People don't want to see you make your morning coffee and how you eat your breakfast. They just don't care. They want to get value out of your content. So we need to make sure that we drive traffic to your bookings and your chair by utilizing content styles that actually convert viewers into physical clients and the go-to barber. Step 3, creating your digital product. Your offer is the catalyst for everything. If you solve a real problem, you'll never run out of content ideas. Social proof builds itself and your messaging instantly comes targeted. So once we have that offer dialed in, you have an endless supply of content ideas because you can just pull it out of your digital product. And the value coming from your content is skyrocketed because it's actually solving a purpose because you thought about what sort of problems you want to solve. Finally, step 4, we need to talk about our scaling systems. Once the system is in place, it's time to scale. That means more reach and creating content that targets specific people, and strategic scaling so leads come to you on autopilot. We need to understand how we're going to scale our business by using things like lead magnets, email sequences, ads, and things like that so that it automates the whole process. What we don't want to happen is I don't want people to think about booking with you or the possible want to buy from you. It's about leveraging authority every step of the way. So by the time someone books a call, they already know, like, and trust you, the magic 3 that everyone's after. So let's break these down step by step, but please remember I'm going to break these down in more detail over my YouTube, so make sure you stay tuned and you hit that subscribe button because there's going to be a lot more free value coming. Phase 1, let's move on to the visual edge, which is the first phase of our 4 phases. If your content does not stand out, you will just get lost in the millions of videos posted every day. If your content is fine-tuned, it does all the hard work for you. Let's understand why we don't post without a purpose. So we need to understand the why behind our posting. Barbers, if you want to build something substantial and long-lasting, you need to understand the core fundamentals of content. Instead of just posting and hoping for results, we know exactly why we are posting and what we want to achieve with our content. So we need to know why and what we want to achieve so that we can have structured, detailed approach when we're actually posting our content. You need to know exactly how to optimize your profile so that when someone lands on your page, they know exactly what you do, they know that what you do works, and what next step they need to take action. And then you need to understand lighting and angles, the backbones of content creation. If you don't have good angles and good lighting, your content's going to be shit. I'm sorry, but it's true. And then finally, we need to know how to leverage content styles. So you need to understand content styles, drive traffic to your booking link and physical clients sat in your chair, as well as what content drives authority and people booking in for those book calls so you can start selling your high ticket offer. However, if you're missing any of these, not only will it be hard to make your business actually work, it won't be sustainable and won't actually be fulfilling. Most barbers never figure this out. They post content randomly trying to grow an audience with no clear direction. A lot of barbers are sitting there thinking, right, I've got to post viral content just to get as many views. And then they're chasing views and then suddenly they hit 50k followers and they think, oh shit, I've got nothing from this. When you have the system in place to convert those views into clients, it's fulfilling because you're actually getting fruits of your labor. How are we actually going to optimize your profile properly? Most barbers fall at the first hurdle because straight away they're not understanding the importance of their bio and pinned posts. Most barbers just end up filling their bio up with absolute bullshit, providing no real value. You don't want your bio to tell people to book now, you need to show people what it is you do. So here's how you do it. When your profile is optimized properly, it takes away that guessing factor. When your profile tells people exactly what you do and what they can expect, it filters out the time wasters. People don't buy into coaching, they invest in a transformation. And the key of optimizing your profile is to reduce time wasters so that we attract people who want to do it your way. We want to make sure that we're attracting people that like the way you do things and want to invest in you because they see that your system works. We don't want people to come on your page and think, We want people to come on your page, be clear and concise, and they want to learn from you. And that's purely because you optimize your profile properly and you're leveraging content styles. The second someone lands on your profile, they should immediately know who you are, who you help, why they should trust you, and what they should do next if they want to learn more. Any of this is unclear, you're losing potential clients at the first hurdle. This is why I said most barbers fall at the first hurdle, because they are not thinking about their bio and their pinned post properly. This is all built by how you position yourself, the content you create, and the journey you take your audience on, where you send them next. So whether that be to your YouTube channel, to your email list, to your lead magnets, you need to make sure that your content is working for you. But we need to understand the importance of lighting. Lighting is the fundamental element to have good content. So if you don't understand how to light your subject properly, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. Unfortunately, the amount of times I see barbers with great videos, great cutting techniques, but their lighting and angles are absolutely shite. Barbers, you need to understand where to place your lights and what camera angles to use to get the most out of your content. I hear it time after time again, I don't have time to record, my appointment times are too short to film. That is just an excuse. And you're trying to pull the wool over your eyes. Unfortunately, that does not fly with me. You have enough time, you're just making excuses. And why am I saying this? Because I used to think the same thing. I would come up with every excuse under the sun as to why I can't do this. Instead, what you need is a systematic approach so that you have the formula to when it comes to creating content. I understand that it can be difficult, but make sure that you're investing. If you want to do something, make sure that you're investing so that you do it properly. Stop just coming up with excuses because there's 1,000,001 ways to do it. Unfortunately, you need to kick up your ass. With that being said, we need to talk about leveraging content styles. Barbers, I'm sorry, but it's time for you to have a reality check. The days of posting a clean fade and getting traction are over. You need to understand how to leverage content styles that actually brings clients to your chair. Simply relying on Instagram filters and TikTok templates is no longer enough. In today's content landscape, mastering advanced editing techniques with proven formulas is essential to drive traffic to your bookings, position yourself as an authority, manipulate the positions you can take your business, and make your content do the hard work for you. Now we've gone through the visual edge, let's move on to the content flow, the second phase of our 4-phase ecosystem. Content flow. Most barbers are focusing on the wrong metrics. They assume that generating loads of views will improve their business, but eventually they'll figure out one of two things. They've generated a following base, but don't know how to monetize, which equals frustration, consistently chasing, and no more money. Or number two, you don't generate a following and you're constantly chasing, and they're saying things like, I'm just waiting for the algorithm to grab hold of my content, or I'm going to pay a videographer to make my content. That'll do it. Unfortunately, this just leads to frustration, constantly chasing, and again, no more money. That's not how it works, unfortunately. Your Instagram needs to act as a sale page for your brand. The moment anyone sees a piece of your content, it should immediately make them think, I want to book in with them, I want to learn from them, why they should trust you, I've gained real value from them. If any of this is unclear, you're not using content to its fullest potential. You need to understand what content styles do what and why. For example, understanding what content styles drive more bookings and why. What content styles drive traffic to your page and why. What content styles position yourself as an authority and why. Can you see a repetition there? We need to understand why each piece of content is doing a certain thing, understanding the why behind our content. So through authority positioning, your brand is either pulling people in or pushing them away. It's that simple. Most people don't make a conscious decision not to follow you. They just scroll past because nothing made them stop and feel connected to you. This could be done because of one of three things. Bad visual branding, which equals bad impressions, confused messaging on profile, which equals confused viewers, and 3, generic content equals a generic audience. The moment someone lands on your page, they need to feel like they found the person they've been looking for, almost like a light bulb moment. When you start seeing those pair of shoes that you've been wanting for ages, and then bang, you go into the shop and they've got them and you get that feeling, they need to have that same feeling when they come onto your profile. The right audience should feel like your page was made for them. People don't just buy from who they see the most, they buy from who they trust the most. They buy from people that they see a few steps ahead of them. Of course, you want to sit there and you want to be like Alex Hormozy or Iman Gadzi, because they're ahead of you and you want to get to that position. So make sure that your profile imitates that so that people underneath you can see you in your position and strive for that. But also remember to make it achievable. And with that being said, the level of authority doesn't come from posting value or viral reels constantly to get views. You can be the smartest person in your space, dropping insane value every day, but if your brand doesn't instantly communicate authority, credibility, and distinction, people won't take you seriously. We need to make sure that our content positions us as an authority, it's credible so it shows results, and we need to have distinction. We need to be that black sheep in the crowd. Let's look at Alexi Michael, for example, right? Extremely successful in the coaching space and online business. He doesn't just post tutorials, unfortunately. He shares his thought process, his insights, his perspectives, and client results. He's branded this in a unique way to differentiate himself. He lets people into his world. And because of that, people don't just watch his content, they enter his world, his ecosystem. All the biggest content creators are building an ecosystem. You'll notice they're using each bit of content to drive traffic to certain places to get you sucked into their ecosystem. Your content needs to shift how people think about you and your product. Prove you get results and build a real connection. A great way to position yourself as an authority is through mindset shifts, social proof, personal storytelling, and unique insights. How are we going to do mindset shifts? We need to shift the mindset of the viewer to make them believe that they actually can do it. You can do this by showing your own story or a bit of social proof. That ties into social proof. These two tie in together. Showing social proof is going to be your biggest catalyst to selling your high ticket offer because people want to see that it actually works. And we can do personal storytelling by showing people behind the scenes of how we're building our online business and how I'm going to show you how you can scale your business beyond the chair, giving people that personal touch and the insight into their life. But again, we need to make sure that they're getting value out of this content, not just posting you drinking your coffee or having breakfast. We want to make sure that they're getting value. They're seeing you build something so that it entices them and think, I can do that and I want to do that. And having our unique insights. This is the same way of having a unique approach. Find the way that you tailor your content to you and make sure that it's different from everyone else. You want to be that black sheep in the crowd. You don't want to just be following trends. However, if people don't trust you, they will never buy from you. And if your content doesn't make you stand out, you're just another barber blending into the noise. So if you're not making content that makes people trust you, then they're never going to buy from you. And if your content doesn't stand out, they're just scrolling straight past because it's another one of the million videos posted every single day. What does your content strategy look like? If your content doesn't serve a purpose, you're just creating more noise. The content styles that we can start pushing are authority content, and that is content that positions you as an expert in your space. Or we can produce value content, and this is content that provides trust and educates. Or we can produce viral content, and this is content that grabs attention and expands your reach. For most barbers, they only focus on viral content because they want to get the likes in and the followers in, but it's actually not gaining anything than a number on a screen. However, for the ones who balance all three, they make sure that each type of content serves a purpose. They use authority to build trust, value that builds credibility, and viral that builds visibility. If you only create one, you'll always be missing something. So it's so important to make sure that we are actually building all three. So authority, value, and viral. All right? Make sure that we're producing different content so that we're covering all aspects of content. The next step, now you need to realize that most of your audience isn't ready to buy right now. No one is paying 2K after watching a 30-second ad. Unfortunately, if you think you're going to sell high ticket products by simply posting a 10-second long reel and an advert, you're delusional. If you have clear steps that move them closer to buying, they'll naturally get nurtured over time. When all of these elements are placed, you no longer feel like you're constantly chasing new clients. Your profile attracts the right people, your content makes them trust you, your social proof makes it undeniable that you get results, your next step keeps them engaged, and this is how authority is built. They already know you're the right person for the job. Let's build that next step, a system that nurtures and converts attention into leads. That's where step 3, creating a digital product, comes in. Once we do all of these things, we can make sure that we're now actually building a digital product, and then we can start pushing content that drives people to get those booked calls and start selling those 2K courses. Here we are, phase 3, creating a digital product. Most barbers think content alone makes money. It doesn't. They believe that if they just post more, eventually they'll start making sales. But high ticket sales aren't impulsive buys. Nobody is dropping 2K because they saw a single video. Like I said, you're delusional if someone's going to drop $2,000 on your course that they've seen you a 30-second long reel of you creating a nice haircut. It's just not going to happen. People buy when they've seen you position yourself as an authority, seen that your system works and gets results, and that your offer is one of the best on the market. We need to make sure that they see you as that go-to resource and someone who they want to learn from. They need to make sure that your system gets results, that they're getting an ROI, and they need to make sure that your offer is one of the best on the market. And this is where you need to have a unique approach about it. If your offer isn't one of the best on the market, no amount of content or ads will save you, unfortunately. You need to make sure that your offer is undeniably the best on the market. If your offer is dialed in, it does the selling for you. You don't need to sell it if you know that your offer can get you results, because it's just going to sell itself. The social proof sells your offer. How are we actually going to build our offer? It's all about finding our why, okay? We need to make sure that we're finding our why. To build something meaningful and long lasting, you need to tap into an area of skills and passions that truly resonate with you. Look for a niche that checks all boxes. So it needs to be profitable, fulfilling, and aligned with your passions. When you discover that sweet spot, you'll have the drive and commitment to turn your vision into a reality. We're going to find this out by overlapping the between. And I like to use the Ikigai method. An Ikigai method is a great way to figure out what you're passionate about and figure out a way on how you can actually build something that truly resonates with you. So how are we going to do this? First of all, how we're going to find this, you need to figure out what it is you love. Would you do it if no one was going to pay you? Next, we need to figure out what the world needs. What is a real problem that people are already looking for solutions to? Find out what you're passionate about and the people actually need a solution. So whether that be creating better content, hair education, understanding how to build a barbershop, there's so many aspects that you can choose from. And then make sure that you're good at it. What skills, knowledge, or experience do you already have? So let's say you've worked at a really high-end barbershop and that your educational skills and your technique is impeccable. Dive into that. Or that you're really good at promoting yourself on social media. Show people how that they can get more clients or they can build a thriving business. And then finally, we need to make sure that we can be paid for it. Package it in a way so that you can actually sell it and monetize it. We want to make sure that we're getting an ROI on our investments. With that being said, if you're missing any of these, not only will it be hard to make your business actually work, but it won't be sustainable and won't actually be fulfilling. At the end of the day, it needs to be sustainable and fulfilling. You need to give it the approach that you're going to be doing this for the next 10 to 15 to 20 years. So you need to make sure that you're choosing the right thing straight from the off. Most people never figure this out. Unfortunately, they just don't, because they're not actually utilizing what they love, what the world needs, and what they're good at, and what they can be paid for. Unfortunately, they just post content randomly, trying to grow an audience with no clear direction. They're just posting content because of posting content. There's no purpose. And what I say, no posting, no purpose. How are we actually going to create a client roadmap that gets results? Having a niche is great, but how are you actually going to get results for your clients? Most people focus on what they want to sell instead of what their client needs to succeed. You don't just need an offer, you need a client roadmap that turns someone from struggling with something specific to achieving their dream outcome. You need to take them from point A to point B, which is most of the time the position you are currently at. How are we actually going to create one? We need to highlight their end goal. What is their ultimate goal? Individuals don't purchase coaching calls or courses, they invest in the results they desire. And then we need to make sure that we re-engineer. When I say re-engineer, go back the steps that you take, often yourself 5 years ago, and ask yourself the questions, what did I want 5 years ago, and what are the questions I asked and I wish I knew? Clearly outline specific steps required to move from point A to point B. Highlight what are the obstacles and what are the elements they're lacking. So go back and look at yourself 5 years ago and ask yourself, what would I want to know? How does he do this? What does he do that? What technique is he using here? Often it's a lot of the positions where you were 5 years ago to where you are right now, and you just got to re-engineer your process you took. And then we need to use this unique formula, the 3x3x3. We need to create a clear steps for tracking progress. A well-structured roadmap keeps individuals engaged and encouraged for a steady forward momentum. What is the 3x3x3? That is actually the client roadmap. It's your 3 phases with 3 modules in each phase, totaling up to 9 modules. So for me, it's foundation, momentum, and finalization. And within each phase, for me, you start with content creation and understanding that, and then we move on to the momentum stage, which is all about understanding mastering reels and captions and delivering data-driven content ideas. And then finally, in finalization, is building that digital product and using scaling systems. Once you have that dialed in, we need to have a distinctive process. So you need to transform your process into a clear and repeatable system. Customers don't just purchase solutions, they invest in your unique approach to achieving those solutions. So we want to make sure that you have a unique approach that they want to buy into, and we want to make sure that your approach is scalable and repeatable so that it works for everyone. Once you've done all these and you've got a well built out offer, you don't need to sell it. It sells itself. When your offer has a clear roadmap, it becomes a no-brainer for buyers. People don't just buy coaching, hair education, or fading courses, they invest in a transformation. They invest in coaching because they want to learn outside of the chair and they want to learn how to scale. They buy into hair education because they want to become a hair educator or improve their technique. Same with fading courses, it's something they're lacking and they want to transform into that barber that has a better fading technique. They invest in the transformation. And the key idea of building your social media presence and personal brand is that they're buying into your way of doing things. And when we develop our roadmap the right way, it becomes a hub for everything else in our content ecosystem, producing case studies and testimonials for the rest of it. Once we have our 3x3 system, it's so easy to get content ideas. You can pull out ideas and create your email sequences. You can create your lead magnets, YouTube content, Instagram, ads, organic reach, DMs, community, you name it. You just pick the content out of your 3x3. It's an endless supply of content because it's a well thought out roadmap and it aligns with of your passions. Once you've got your high ticket offer that people actually want and a way to develop case studies, the next step is making sure that we start to scale. And that's where scaling systems come in. So now we have our offer built out, let's talk about how we can automate and scale it so that we can start hitting those big numbers a month. And this leads us on to phase 4, scaling systems, the final phase of our 4-phase system. Most barbers think that content alone makes them money. Again, it doesn't. They believe that if they just post more, eventually they'll start making sales, but high ticket sales aren't impulse buys. Like I said, no one is dropping 2K because they saw a single video. People buy it when they've seen you across multiple platforms, consume longer form content that builds trust, and engage with your brand on a deeper level, whether that be through emails, DMs, or community. That's why random content doesn't convert, but a content ecosystem does. If your business isn't structured like this, you're relying on luck rather than a system. And with that being said, I want to talk about the 7-11-4 rule, which is an idea that Google came up with. And the 7-11-4 rule in marketing suggests that to convert potential customers, a brand should aim for 7 hours of engagement across 11 touch points and 4 distinct locations where customers can interact with them. Your customer is much more likely to buy if they've watched 7 hours of your content across 11 touch points on 4 platforms. So the idea behind your content ecosystem is to maximize those touch points and reaching that 7-hour mark effectively as possible. Here's how it works in 3 phases. Instead of just posting and hoping, you need a structured journey that takes people from stranger to follower to lead to client, and these systems have 3 key stages. The 3 key stages is we have traffic drivers, which is our viral content or ads, which drives traffic to our page. And then we need to nurture and redirect via DMs, profile or lead magnets. And then finally, we need to pre-sell and convert, whether that be through emails, communities, and our YouTube VSL. How are we going to do this? Step 1, we need to have content that drives traffic. So whether we're creating our organic viral content or we're using paid ads to drive traffic to our page. A 30-second video isn't enough for someone to trust you with their money. Short form gets views, can build authority, but doesn't build on a deep level. Barbers think that posting a clean fade that gets 100,000 views equals generating high ticket clients. Unfortunately, it doesn't. If it was that easy, everyone would be doing it, but it just doesn't happen that way. That way is dead and it just leads to frustration and a dead end. Instead, use short form content and ads as an entry point. This section should make people think, this guy knows what he's talking about, I need to watch more of his content. This is our traffic drivers, all right? This drives traffic to our page. So we're going to post our short clips that drive traffic to our page and our viral content. But then moving on to our second area where we need to build authority and nurture and redirect. This is through our DMs, our profiles, and our lead magnets. So now that we've got attention, let's do something with it. And this is where lead magnets and email sequences come in. What is a lead magnet? A lead magnet is a free resource that solves a small but valuable problem. This could either be a PDF, a mini course, or a training video. I'm sure you would have seen it. I constantly put up my videos, comment a certain word, and I'll send you it for free. That's because I want to give you my free lead magnet. So whether that be an editing breakdown, a content cheat sheet, or a viral content script, I give you something that gives you real free value so that you start understanding, okay, Tim knows his stuff, and it just gets you into that ecosystem. This gives instant trust. They see you as an expert firsthand. It opens a conversation so they get more touch points with you via the DMs, and it leads to that next step. So that can either be a school invite, paid offer, or a sales call. So it opens the conversations where we're nurturing them, try to get them into our sales calls or into our email sequences. While we're collecting their emails and opening conversations and pushing them towards our YouTube and our community, this is where step 3 comes in, where the pre-sell and convert. So this is through our emails, community, and VSL. This is going to be our silent moneymaker. At this stage, people already trust you. Now they just need to make buying from you the only way forward to reaching their goal. So how are we going to do this? Emails. I like to call this the invisible revenue engine. Most people don't buy the first time they see your offer. Unfortunately, they just do not. They need to continuously see you on multiple different platforms over 7 hours. But once they're on your email list, they're constantly learning about your system and how it works. They see case studies regularly. They're being pushed into your community and content assets for further nurturing. This is going to mean we can stay on top of mind, communicate directly, and use this tool to guide our audience where we want them to go. Instead of just hoping people eventually decide, you control the timing. Your email list as a creator is going to be your biggest selling factor. It's one thing that is yours. Ultimately, you can get locked out of your Instagram account, your school account, your WhatsApp. However, you have control over your emails and your email list. You know that they're directly getting sent to them and they're going to see it. People ignore Instagram. People don't go on Instagram, but emails, it pops up and you can see it. So email list is a great driving factor. Number 2, your YouTube VSL, your 24-hour sales revenue. This is the powerhouse of your content ecosystem. It does all of the heavy lifting for you. What should your YouTube VSL include? It should introduce you properly, explain explain your method, pre-sell your offer, and give them the next step. And this isn't just a random long form video sitting on your channel. Every other piece of content you make should be funneling to this YouTube VSL. The description of our YouTube videos can push them to other content, our community, or if they're ready to book a call. So YouTube in itself acts as our own funnel. Our YouTube VSL, which is the backbone and our selling machine, and then we get all of our other videos to go back into that VSL to direct people into our school communities or booking a call. And a VSL is similar to this video that you're watching right now. This is breaking down my offer and how you can implement it yourself. With our YouTube funnel, what we need to make sure is that our short form brings the people in, other long form videos builds trust and authority, but however, everything ultimately leads back to this core video where you get the full picture. So we want to make sure that all of our YouTube videos, all of our Instagram, all of our lead magnets lead to this video so that people see our offer and what it is we do. You don't need millions of views for this to work. You just need the right people watching. How does this work? We have our organic and ads, which drives traffic to our profile, which gets our booked calls, which then ultimately gets us our money. Break this down really simply. Let's say you get 5,000 targeted views per month from organic content and ads. If just 2% of those viewers book a call, that's 100 calls per month. And if you close 30% of those, that's 30 high ticket clients every single month. If your offer is £3,000, that's 90k per month just from a system that runs on its own. And this is why content alone doesn't make money, systems do. Your job isn't to convince people to buy. Your VSL and your ecosystem does that for you. And this is how you stop chasing clients and start attracting them, by using a community. People don't just buy because they see your content. They buy because they feel connected to you. And one of the best ways of building that connection is through community and real conversation. Having a free school group, Discord, Telegram, or private group isn't just an extra, it's a game changer. It turns passive viewers into engaged members who actually interact with you. Here's why it all works. It makes your audience feel closer to you, it builds that deeper level of connection, and it gives people direct access to ask questions and connect. A warm lead inside a community is 10 times easier to close than a random cold lead from your social media. Instead of manually chasing people in the DMs, your content and community work together to move them through your ecosystem, from content, email, VSL, school, purchase. The people who are winning right now aren't just creating content, they're building a journey. They're utilizing content that drives traffic to the page, and then they're nurturing and redirect them via DMs, profiles, lead magnets, and then they're going to pre-sale and convert by using emails, community, and VSL. At this point, everything is in place. You have a system that attracts the right people, you can nurture them, and then convert them. If you want to build a barbering personal brand ecosystem that allows you to add an extra 10k a month without working behind the chair 10 hours a day, by leveraging professional content, then this is what you need to do. The sad truth is, most of you watching will never build a personal brand that actually makes money. But if you're an action taker, and if you're ready to build a brand that funds your freedom, that attracts high ticket clients without needing millions of views, and that runs on systems instead of stress, then this is for you. You've got one of three choices. Number one, you can do nothing. Keep grinding, keep hoping, and maybe you'll figure it out. Maybe you won't. Or number two, you can take the free assets and start implementing. I drop weekly content on this YouTube channel giving away everything for free, so make sure you subscribe so you can constantly get your free value. Or you can stop the guesswork and work directly with me. If you want to build your barbering personal brand ecosystem and add an extra 10k a month in the next 90 days without trial and error, DM me Profit on Instagram and I'll send you the details. Either way, you have everything you need. The only real question is, are you actually going to do something with it? The ball's in your court.